the Chairman, Conference of Indigenous Hands and Voices of African Identity 2021, the Chairman of the Local Organizing Committee and members of that committee, participants, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good evening. The curtain finally falls on our spectacular 2-day virtual conference on the interesting and engaging theme, Indigenous Hands and Voices of African Identity, Discourse on Language Rights. It has been an intensive and stimulating 2-day intellectual fiesta across various time zones of the world on a theme of great import to Africa, scholars of African languages, and language rights enthusiasts all over the world. It is time then to congratulate those who cooked the delicious soup, the delicious ofe onubu with palatable otaraji, those who served the dishes red hot, and those who did the eating and finger licking as well. To the initiator of the conference and the chairman of the local organizing committee, Dr. Emma Asonye, we say a big daalorine. To the co-chairman, Professor Eno Orua, and other members of the local organizing committee, we intone our Sosongo Etietie. To the presenters of the 2 keynote speeches, Professor Imelda Odo of the University of Uyo, Nigeria for day 1, and Marco Nyako and Victoria Nist of the University of Leiden, Netherlands for day 2. We say a mighty Nagode. To all the presenters from various parts of Africa and the world, we offer you our rounds of Eshepupo for your efforts. It was indeed a huge success for a first outing, coming in the shadows of the 1-year anniversary of the emergence on the global stage of the still lingering COVID-19 pandemic. The conference was remarkable for a number of reasons, which include uniqueness, timeliness, international outlook, Afrocentric focus and tone, broadness of sub-themes, amongst others. One aspect of the uniqueness of the conference we have just experienced is the seamless and natural accommodation of signed and spoken language discourses in the conceptualization and execution of the conference, as loudly captured in the core of the conference theme, Indigenous Hands and Voices of African Identity. This approach, which manifests in the varieties of papers presented at the conference and their arrangement in the conference schedule, bridges the often fierce divide between signed and spoken languages, a dichotomy that often treats the former as not being as normal languages as the latter group. Another aspect of the uniqueness of the conference, one arising from its virtual format, an imperative imposed by the coronavirus pandemic, is the pre-recording of presentations, particularly the pre-recording of the presentations on signed languages, which of necessity involve the signed presentation and the spoken language interpretation presented simultaneously. Given the spread of conference participants in different time zones of the world, the organizers have exploited this feature of the conference to mitigate the adverse effect of geographical distancing by bringing all the participants together virtually within a manageable time frame of the day. While acclaiming the conference organizers for their innovativeness, we highly appreciate the conference participants for the sacrifices made to squeeze into the limited time frame for presentation and virtual participation. And we are really very glad for the active interaction that took place throughout the conference. At a time that a lot of scholars have raised a huge outcry over the decline, the lack of competitiveness, and the outright endangerment of indigenous African languages compared to their European and Asian counterparts. There could be no better time than the beginning of the year 2021 for a conference that spotlights the language rights of Africans, their rights and opportunities to have access to their indigenous signed or spoken linguistic communication systems. In a world that has become truly globalized and in which access to linguistic and cultural content from powerful media-owning industrialized societies is pervasive in less industrialized countries of the world, especially Africa, there is no better time than now to give sight and voice to indigenous African languages, signed or spoken, with a view to ensuring equity in information dissemination, as well as knowledge development and transmission in Africa. Expectedly, a number of the papers presented during this conference fitted very much into the role of exploring the challenges of sustainability, development, and use of indigenous African languages. Two presentations come easily to mind and can speak for the rest of the presentations. One is Emergent Literacy in Deaf Children in Nigeria, the Need to Develop Indigenous Sign Languages by Asonye and Asonye. Two, the approaches to the indigenous languages in Namibia and Tanzania during German colonial rule, critical link to the present by Geta Elizaveta. The international outlook of our conference was assured by the strong involvement and leadership roles of the various African, American, and European contingents. We are indeed indebted to them for their subscription to the conference and look forward to an encore. We must also acknowledge the invaluable support of the organizing partners made up of the Save the Deaf and Endangered Language Initiative, SDELI, the University of New Mexico Africana Studies Program, the National Institute for Nigerian Languages, Mainland, Aba, Nigeria, the Nigerian Languages Project, and the Educational Sign Language Interpreters Association of Nigeria. As our people say, Ora tobo uto, ikube ya ikube. When sleep is sweet, we begin to snore. Given the success of this first conference, it may not be far-fetched to hazard a guess that a series might have been born. Once more, I say thank you for being part of a wonderful and meaningful initiative. May God bless you, and we look forward to seeing you next year. Bye-bye.